and the evening of May 22, 2011, Joplin, Missouri, faced a storm that would be remembered forever as one of the deadliest and most destructive tornadoes in U.S. history. The calm spring afternoon quickly gave way to darkening skies that swirled with ominous energy, signaling the arrival of a force unlike anything the city had ever encountered. Residents went about their routines, unaware that nature was preparing a display of fury that would reshape lives in an instant. Clouds thickened, and a greenish hue cast an eerie light over streets and homes. Families prepared for a normal evening, some enjoying dinner, others tending to chores, unaware that chaos was approaching. Emergency services braced for the incoming storm, their vehicles ready, their crews alert, but even they could not anticipate the full fury awaiting them. Nature's power was about to reveal itself in the most terrifying form, an EF5 tornado that would leave Joplin forever changed. In the coming moments, destruction, courage, loss, and resilience would intertwine, creating a story that would be remembered for generations. 1. A city unaware. The morning of May 22nd had begun like any other spring day in Joplin. Streets buzzed with school buses, families hurried to work, and small businesses opened their doors. Residents went about their routines, unaware that atmospheric conditions were converging to create the deadliest tornado in the city's history. Warm, humid air from the Gulf mixed with an advancing cold front, setting the stage for an exceptionally violent supercell. The sky darkened gradually, and some noticed unusual cloud formations tinged with a sickly green. Birds quieted their calls, and a stillness seemed to descend across neighborhoods, a subtle warning few would heed. Meteorologists were already tracking the storm, issuing alerts across television, radio, and social media platforms. Emergency services monitored the weather closely, preparing for potential severe storms, but no one imagined the scale of destruction about to occur. Families checked storm radios, grabbed flashlights, and prepared basements or storm shelters. Some residents reassured one another, thinking it was a routine tornado, warning common in the region. By late afternoon, reports of rotation and funnel clouds in surrounding areas caused concern, but many still believed the storm might pass without incident. Unbeknownst to them, the EF5 tornado was already forming, its energy building silently over the plains. 2. Warnings and preparation. Emergency alerts blared across Joplin as the tornado's approach became imminent. Local television stations interrupted programming, radios crackled with urgent messages, and sirens wailed throughout the city. Families moved quickly to basements, storm shelters, and interior rooms, seeking refuge from the unstoppable force heading their way. Schools, hospitals, and businesses followed emergency protocols, guiding occupants to safety, though many underestimated the tornado's intensity. Meteorologists emphasized the EF5 classification, the highest possible, capable of obliterating entire neighborhoods within minutes. Social media carried warnings and live updates, while emergency responders coordinated the deployment of resources, bracing for mass casualties. Winds increased dramatically, gusting unpredictably and shaking structures that had stood for decades. Trees bent and snapped, power lines swayed dangerously, and debris began to fly through the air. Residents secured doors, windows, and valuables as best they could, but preparation could do little against the destructive force approaching. Pets were confined, children comforted, and neighbors helped at one another reach shelter. 3. First impact zone. The tornado made landfall in the southern outskirts of Joplin around 5:41 p.m. The initial impact zone experienced destruction almost immediately. Homes were stripped to their foundations, vehicles tossed across yards like toys, and trees were reduced to splintered remnants. The sound was deafening, a continuous roar louder than any engine, shaking buildings and rattling every object within them. Citizens who had sought shelter huddled together, praying while debris flew through the air. Some were trapped under collapsed structures, their screams drowned out by the storm. Emergency services attempted to reach the hardest hit areas, but roads were blocked, communications disrupted, and conditions were perilous. Witnesses later described the funnel as a massive, twisting wedge, swallowing everything in its path. Electrical transformers exploded, fires ignited spontaneously, and the air was thick with dust, smoke, and flying debris. The tornado moved swiftly, cutting a swath of total destruction, leaving nothing recognizable in its wake. 4. Neighborhoods. Decimated. The heart of Joplin bore the brunt of the tornado's force. Entire neighborhoods were obliterated in minutes, homes flattened to their foundations, leaving only splintered wood and broken belongings scattered across streets. Streets were unrecognizable, layered with debris, twisted metal, shattered glass, and remnants of once beloved possessions. Vehicles were tossed with brutal force, some wrapped around trees or crumpled like paper, while others were hurled hundreds of yards. Trees were snapped in half or uprooted entirely, leaving jagged stumps as grim reminders of the storm's passage. Power lines were torn from poles, leaving dark, silent streets punctuated by hanging cables swaying in the wind. Residents huddled in basements and storm shelters watched helplessly as the destruction unfolded above. Pets howled, trapped in their owners' arms or buried under debris, while animals fled in terror, adding chaos to the scene. Churches, schools, and public buildings were leveled, their structures unrecognizable, windows shattered, roofs peeled away, and interiors exposed to the night sky. Emergency sirens wailed continuously, yet the tornado's speed and intensity made warnings feel almost meaningless. Citizens clung to one another, praying, shouting, and attempting to comfort the terrified children around them. 5. Human stories of survival. Amid the wreckage, stories of survival emerged that were as astonishing as the tornado was deadly. Families clung to one another in basements, bracing for impact as the EF5 roared overhead. Children were saved from collapsing homes by neighbors risking their lives. Elderly residents were carried through streets blocked with debris, guided by strangers who refused to leave them behind. Some residents were thrown from upper floors or shelters and survived against all odds. Others crawled from the wreckage hours later, dusty, bloodied, and exhausted, recounting the chaos they had endured. Pets were rescued from under debris or retrieved from the twisted metal of vehicles. First responders worked tirelessly, often ignoring exhaustion or injury to save lives. Hospitals were overwhelmed with victims, triage centers overflowing with patients needing urgent attention. Families mourned loved ones lost in an instant, some reunited with relatives, others discovering heartbreak beyond measure. The community began documenting these stories immediately, ensuring that the heroism, bravery, and resilience would not be forgotten. Local news outlets highlighted acts of courage, neighbors saving neighbors, strangers opening their homes, volunteers assisting at every opportunity. Even amidst despair, the human spirit remained unbroken, a stark contrast to the destruction around them. 6. Emergency response rescue operations in Joplin faced unprecedented challenges. Roads blocked by debris made it nearly impossible for emergency vehicles to reach victims quickly. Communication lines were down. Radios were overwhelmed with calls, and power outages complicated every effort. Despite the chaos, firefighters, police officers, and paramedics worked around the clock, lifting fallen neighbors from rubble and treating injuries with remarkable skill and dedication. Makeshift triage centers were established in schools, churches, and undamaged public buildings. Volunteers joined the effort, digging, carrying supplies, and guiding citizens to safety. The National Guard was deployed to assist with logistics, security, and disaster relief. Helicopters surveyed the city from above, identifying areas in desperate need of aid. Hospitals overflowed with patients, doctors and nurses working tirelessly, often forgoing sleep and meals to provide critical care. Even with overwhelming destruction, emergency crews maintained professionalism and calm, coordinating with one another and with volunteers to maximize efficiency. Citizens demonstrated extraordinary resilience, helping strangers, comforting the injured, and supporting emergency teams. Every action reflected a city united in the face of tragedy, a determination to survive and rebuild. The chaos was immense, but so was the courage. 7. National and global attention news of the Joplin tornado spread rapidly across the country and around the globe. Images of flattened neighborhoods, overturned vehicles, and devastated streets shocked viewers. Television coverage, online reporting, and social media brought the disaster into homes worldwide. Humanitarian aid poured in, including donations of food, clothing, and medical supplies. Governments, NGOs, and community organizations mobilized to support the relief efforts. Meteorologists analyzed the EF5 tornado extensively, studying its formation, path, and intensity to prevent future disasters. Scientists emphasized that the storm's scale was extraordinary, prompting further research into severe weather patterns and tornado prediction. Documentaries, news specials, and research papers highlighted both the destruction and the heroism displayed by residents and emergency teams. The global attention ensured that lessons learned in Joplin would inform disaster preparedness across the Midwest and beyond. Citizens across the United States held vigils, donated funds, and offered support to a city in pain. The Joplin tornado became a landmark case study for emergency response, resilience, and human courage under unimaginable circumstances. 8. The aftermath. The aftermath of the tornado was catastrophic. Over 1,500 homes were destroyed, businesses leveled, and 161 people lost their lives, with hundreds more injured. Streets were lined with debris, twisted metal, and shattered trees. Entire schools were unrecognizable, hospitals damaged, and public infrastructure destroyed. Families searched desperately for loved ones, some reunited, others forced to cope with permanent loss. Volunteers and survivors worked tirelessly to clear debris, establish temporary shelters, and distribute food and aid. Rebuilding efforts took months, with state and federal assistance coordinating reconstruction. Counseling services were established to help citizens cope with trauma, grief, and survivor's guilt. Communities came together, stronger and more united, even as memories of the storm lingered. Residents documented damage and recovery, creating a historical record of both loss and resilience. Schools, businesses, and neighborhoods gradually reopened, though scars remained visible for years. The city of Joplin faced the immense task of not only physical rebuilding, but also emotional recovery. Each brick replaced, each tree replanted, and each home reconstructed represented hope amidst tragedy. 9. Lessons learned. The Joplin tornado prompted critical improvements in disaster preparedness and response nationwide. Communities evaluated building codes, emphasizing reinforced structures, storm shelters, and emergency exits. Early warning systems were improved with advanced radar, mobile alerts, and nationwide coordination. Emergency services refined protocols for mass casualties and debris-blocked routes. Meteorologists studied the storm extensively, improving predictive models and understanding tornado dynamics. Schools and civic centers began implementing drills and preparedness programs, training citizens to respond efficiently in emergencies. The disaster underscored the importance of resilient infrastructure, rapid response, and community solidarity. Nationwide awareness campaigns highlighted the unpredictability and severity of EF5 tornadoes. Lessons from Joplin informed tornado safety policies across the Midwest, ensuring communities were better equipped to respond to future storms. The tragedy became a turning point in meteorological research, public policy, and community readiness. Every rebuilt structure stands as a testament to courage, collaboration, and determination. The city remains vigilant, but also hopeful, showing that even the worst disaster can be survived, endured, and overcome. The Joplin EF5 tornado was more than a storm. It was a night of unparalleled destruction, loss, and courage. Lives were forever changed, neighborhoods obliterated, and a community tested beyond imagination. Yet Joplin rebuilt, stronger, wiser, and united, proving the resilience of human spirit in the face of nature's fury. If this story moved you, like this video, share it to honor the memory of those affected, and subscribe to our channel for more powerful documentaries on the disasters that shaped history. Together, we remember, we learn, and we prepare for the future.